The thing that I find really difficult to reconcile, and this is where I think the warning from history is important, is that Germany is such an amazing nation. It's the country of Beethoven and Strauss and of Goethe and incredible art and culture and some of the greatest engineers and scientists have ever lived. And look how quickly it flipped into the descent of unspeakable inhumanity, which manifested itself in the Holocaust and the gas chambers, um, and the executions into pits and tiny places and creeks in Lithuania or Ukraine or whatever. I mean, it's just horrendous. And this is from a nation which a decade earlier had been a democracy.
It seems like as a human civilization, we walk that Solzhenitsyn line between good and evil.
Yeah.
It's a thin line, and we have to walk it carefully.
Yes.
So one of the great battles in World War II on the Western Front is Normandy.
Yeah.
I have to talk to you about Normandy.
D-Day.
D-Day. The Normandy landings, the famous on June 6, 1944. This was Allied invasion of Nazi-occupied Western Europe.
Yep.
What was the planning? And it was lengthy planning. What was the planning? What was the execution of the Normandy landings?
Well, the decision to finally go in, when the Americans joined the war in December 1941, there's the Arcadia Conference a week later, between the British chiefs of staff and political leaders, Churchill and Roosevelt and his own chiefs of staff, about what the policy should be. And the policy is to get American troops over to Europe as quickly as possible, get them over to Britain, get them training, and get them across the Channel ASAP, and start the liberation of Europe. But the reality is that in 1942, the Americans just aren't ready. They've gone from this incredibly tiny army, they're still growing, they've got no battlefield experience. The British are still recovering. They're good on the naval power. They're kind of increasingly good on air power. But land power, they've had to kind of make up from the loss of their ally France and expand as well. So kind of ground zero for both America and Britain has been kind of June 1940, when France is out, and suddenly that's the strategic earthquake, and that's the issue that needs settling, and they need to just completely realign everything that they'd fought in 1939. They've got to start again. But it's also becomes clear that they're not really ready in 1943 either. And one of the problems is that Molotov, who is the Soviet foreign minister, has come over to Britain in May 1942 and said, we need you to kind of do your bit and get on the campaign trail against the Germans and fight on the ground.